Hey, honey.
Yes, Barry?
Let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host. Just so happy to introduce you to my favorite vacation destination, and maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez. Now, Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa Group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach. And then there's the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we're going to a lovely restaurant in Paso Ancho. It is a neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta. It's a stone throw from the old El Rio barbecue property, which is now La Huerta Barbecue. The restaurant we're going to be visiting is called Irma's Bar and Grill. We'll get the story of this sweet little place from Irma Mejia herself. Then we're going to be talking a little Puerto Vallarta history with my friend Otto Andriadis. Otto goes way back to the early 80s in Vallarta. He goes back even longer than I do. He'll talk about his ex-mother-in-law, very famous Vallarta personality. Her name was Silver. And we'll talk about Alex, his son, who actually has two boutique hotels right along the Rio Quale, the Garlands del Rio and Rivera del Rio. Otto is a really interesting guy. You're going to really like him. We have Vallarta news and more, so let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 9th of September, 2024. Well, we did it. My wife and I left Los Angeles behind. We sold our house that we've lived in for the last 26 years in Simi Valley, California. We retired from the real estate business just in time. Boy, it is changing in the United States, so our retirement came right at the right moment. We emptied our 2,000 square foot house into 4 suitcases. We did it like a lot of other people did. We four suitcases. We had 2 roll-ons, and we each had a day pack. And we flew to Paradise last Saturday, the 31st of August. And today I'm coming to you from my new temporary studios. It's an studio. It's outdoors. It's on the balcony in Upper Conchas Chinas. And I hope the audio is good for you. I've got things all hooked up, some sound gates and stuff like that. But you're going to be hearing, maybe an occasional jake break from a truck coming down the 200, or maybe some bugs or some birds. Who knows? But I'm going to promise to get my studio set up a little bit better soon. And I'll be doing that in the next couple of episodes from here, as a matter of fact. I'll get back to that in a few minutes. But let's take a look at what's happening on the ground in Puerto Vallarta this week, if you're already here or if you're arriving soon. First of all, Mexican Independence Day is fast approaching, and the new mayor of Vallarta will be proclaiming Hidalgo's grito from the balcony overlooking the Malecon from the Presidencia, I guess you say. It's the City Hall, and that's going to be the evening of September the 15th at midnight. So this is how they welcome in September the 16th with the grito. So if you're in town, it's going to be crowded. You should definitely try to get to the Malecon early, and if you can, experience that grito. The new mayor, Mr. Handsome, Luis Munguia, will not disappoint, I promise you. And so what is the grito? Well, to explain, let's go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, the online version, the electronic one, not the stack of dusty old books there. Grito de Dolores, the battle cry of the Mexican War of Independence from Spain, first uttered by Miguel Hidalgo y Castilla, parish priest of Dolores, now Dolores Hidalgo in Guanajuato State, on September the 16th, 1810. Hidalgo was involved in a plot against the Spanish colonial government, and when the plot was betrayed, he decided to act immediately. After arming the people, he addressed them from the pulpit, encouraging them to revolt. The exact text of this most famous of all Mexican speeches is not known, and there's a wide variety of reconstructed versions. They've been published, but he may have said, in essence, "Long live Our Lady of Guadalupe," symbol of faith of Indians. Death to bad government. Death to the Huachipines, who are the Spaniards. Hidalgo amassed a large popular mob army, but after much reckless pillage and bloodshed, the movement was suppressed, and Hidalgo himself was captured, and he was later executed on July the 30th, 1811. Hidalgo's cry, the grito, became the cry of independence. In commemoration, each year on the night of September the 15th, the eve of Mexican Independence Day, the President of the Republic shouts a version of El Grito from the balcony of the National Palace in Mexico City. Viva Mexico, viva la independencia, and vivan los héroes. The ceremony is broadcast throughout the country and is repeated in smaller scale in many towns and villages. That is right. I have a link to that article from Encyclopedia Britannica online in the show notes. You can find them at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. So, at the stroke of midnight, the newly elected mayor will recite the famous words, "Viva Mexico, viva la independencia, and vivan los héroes." And be there. Be there if you can, for sure. At least if you can stay up that late. It's going to be like really late. You might want to start drinking later in the day. Of course, Vallarta does it up big. They've got fireworks, and they've got live music from a stage that they set up on the Malecon near the lighthouse. They've got folkloric dancers. They're going to have parades all during the. They're going to have all kinds of things happening on the 16th. But the night to be on that Malecon has got to be midnight on the 15th. It should be pretty cool. Vallarta needs money. In order to run the city, it seems like the new mayor is going to start his term with very little money in the city coffers. And where did all that money go? Where does their money go? I mean, nadie conoce. Nobody knows. Hey, not my place to get involved in the politics of Mexico or Vallarta. I'm just a reporter. However, the city is scrambling to work out a way to raise money by raising water rates and property taxes. It's reported that the council is planning on concentrating on raising taxes on properties in the tourist zones to start with, and on new construction, of course. So brace yourselves for a property tax hike if you own in places like Versalles or like Zona Romantica, Cinco, Conchas Chinas, Amapas. Or if you're planning on buying or building, buying something newly constructed, get ready. They are raising taxes. Now, remember, currently taxes in Mexico are not that high. One of the reasons I moved here. But hey, maybe it's a trend. Be careful. We are experiencing some really good rainfall over the last week in Vallarta. We've had almost every night pretty good-sized rainstorms. Last night, we didn't have it. The night before, just a little bit, but it's rained pretty heavily since we arrived about a week ago. The Quale is rising. It's pretty high. It's going fast. The Pitial is going fast. In fact, the reservoirs up in Cajon de Peña, up in Tamatlan, above Tamatlan, are full. They opened the spillways. The Rio Olmeca was looking pretty high as well. In fact, it was early September of 2010 when a section of the Olmeca Bridge collapsed during the night and several cars went in. And I've actually had a conversation with a taxista. His name was Marcos Hoya Rodriguez, and he actually fell into the river. And he survived by clinging onto a tree in the river for about 45 minutes waiting for help. So anyway, I hope we won't have a repeat of that bridge collapsing, but hey, we asked for rain, right? Didn't we? Yes, we did. Every year we do. And every year it kind of goes off to the ocean. I don't get it. Anyway, hey, listen, I live in California. We see the same thing happening. I lived in California. I have a YouTube video in the show notes where you can actually hear Marcos, the taxista, tell his story to some news people. Of course, you can find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And it's all in Spanish, so do your best. All of a sudden, we are seeing the U.S. dollar strengthen against the peso. When Deborah and I were in Vallarta back in May, the exchange rate at the ATM machines was barely 16 pesos to the dollar. And today, the 9th of September, it was about 19.89 pesos to the dollar. It's a huge rebound. So what's happening? What's going on here? Why are we seeing a big swing in favor of the U.S. dollar? Let's see what they're saying about it here. Let's see. Apparently, it has to do with politics and proposed judicial reform in Mexico. This has made many leaders in the United States and in Canada nervous, and they're calling for Mexico to put off their plans to reform their judiciary. And I'll just read a little bit from this Washington Post article. It's pretty long, but you'll get the picture. Here we go. Why everyone is suddenly worried about Mexico's democracy? Is this real? Okay. President Andres Manuel López Obrador, in his final month of office, is pushing legislation that would send appointed federal judges home and let voters elect their replacements. This is by Mary Beth Sheridan, September 4th, 2024. Mexico City. The lower house of Mexico's Congress approved a radical reform of the judicial system on Wednesday, a constitutional amendment that has raised alarms in Washington and in the business community. Under the new system, voters would choose nearly all the country's judges, even those on the Supreme Court. Critics are especially concerned because President Andres Manuel López Obrador's Morena party holds an overwhelming majority in Congress. If voters were to elect judges friendly to Morena, the leftist party would effectively control all three branches of government, and that could return Mexico to a one-party state of the kind that ruled for much of the 20th century. The proposal, passed early Wednesday by Mexico's House of Deputies, now goes to the Senate, which is expected to approve it. Here's what to know about the change. Mexican voters would elect Supreme Court justices. At present, the judicial system itself names most federal judges based on experience, qualification, and exam results. If the reform package wins approval, nearly all federal judges will be required to resign within the next 3 years. Mexican voters would pick new judges from candidates nominated by the presidency, the Congress, and the judicial branch. They would choose 1,686 federal judges, including 9 Supreme Court justices, in elections next year and in 2027. Another 5,000 state and local judges would also be elected by popular vote. The reform would do away with tenure and experience requirements. It would set a 9-year term for judges. Critics warn that elected judges could pander to voters. The reform will likely weaken judicial independence. Legal analysts say judges who rely on popular support could be tempted to tailor their decisions to please voters rather than upholding the law impartially. The article goes on to point out that in the United States, we also elect our judges on the state level, but not federal judges and not Supreme Court justices. There's more to read, but if you'd like to read it, you just follow the link to that Washington Post story that's in the show notes. And very interesting. We'll see if the dollar continues to climb or if the peso will rebound. Stay tuned. As I said earlier, we emptied our home into 4 suitcases, 2 roller bags, 2 day packs, and as planned, we arrived in Puerto Vallarta on the 31st of August to start our retirement paradise. Now, the first month is going to be spent in a very lovely condo, the one that I'm talking to you from right now. We found it on Airbnb for a steal. It's up in the very upper reaches of Upper Conscious Chinas, they call it, and being Septiembre, as it's called in Puerto Vallarta, it's slow season, and it's really hot and humid during the day. Sometimes we have some dramatic, intense lightning and thunder and rainstorms almost every evening. It's pretty cool. Many of the restaurants, they take time to have their staff take some time off. They take some time off. They do repairs. They do renovations in their properties. And they get ready for high season. And it's a vicious cycle. And during this time of year, Septiembre, you really need to search out the restaurants. I mean, it is hot. It is hot and it is humid. Don't kid yourself. That's why it's slow season. And when I talk about slow season, it is very slow right now. If you can make in September and come down here, you'll feel you can just stretch your arms out. I'm telling you right now. But be careful because your underarms will be sweaty. Anyway, you got to search off restaurants with air conditioning, with aire, as they say in Spanish, or a ventilador, which is a fan. It's a Mexican air conditioning, of course. And, if somebody sticks a ventilador in front of you in the shade, you're doing fine. But I want to give a shout out to El Granero. El Granero, we've been there with the show. That's Stephanie and Connor's place. It's over on Madero, over in the Zona Romantica. It is air conditioned. It's a big place. So there's, you can get in there without any trouble, especially during the month of September. The food is very reasonably priced. Their menu is huge. The pizza, they've got craft brew being brewed right there. They've got big screen TVs with your favorite sports. They've got happy hour specials. This is a great spot, you guys, to go. The food is outstanding. Everything on the menu is really excellent. I'll have a link to the interview that I did with Stephanie in the show notes as well, so you can take a look at that. And I'll have the contact information with a map that'll take you to the front door. How about that? Good job, you guys. Good job. Go see them. Also, by the way, a big shout out to Vallarta Factory for their 80 peso mocha frappe in an air-conditioned restaurant. It is heaven after walking the sticky streets in the heat of September. Get in there. You will thank me. When you walk in the door, there, look up for the split and sit there. That's where you sit, right next to the air conditioner. Okay, great food there too, I got to say. About this Airbnb that we're at, I can't say enough about this place. We truly lucked out finding this place. We got it for a steal. We got it for the entire month of September for $1,200 US, including everything. And I would normally have a link to the property. I usually do. If I like it, I like to share with you guys. But every time I find a place that I really like and I share it, I can never get inside the darn place again. So, nope, not this time, Satan. Nope, it's mine, mine, mine. You have to go look for it yourself, okay? I will share pictures of this place. It's got a gorgeous view. Check them out in the show notes. And I'll share pictures from the entire inside of the place. I'll be doing that during our stay. You can check out those photos at the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show Facebook and Instagram pages as we progress through the month of September. And then we're going to go move to the slum. So there you have it. The only thing about living up in Upper Conchas Chinas is it's very remote. It's, there are no tiendas. There's no stores up here. There's one little restaurant. It's attached to a little club there. But it's right next door to Club Ocho Cascadas. And actually, interestingly enough, I looked it up. Ocho Cascadas is a very famous, it's kind of a timeshare. It's kind of a timeshare place. It was built in 1980. It's got 9 villas that cascade down the hill in Conchas Chinas. There's 10 levels and pools with 8 waterfalls, or ocho cascadas, cascading down from one pool to the next, all the way down to the beach area. And now I get it. That's how Ocho Tostadas, the Mariscos restaurant chain in Vallarta, got its name, by using a play on words, right? Of course. Anyway, getting back to Upper Conchas Chinas, you either need a car or a good set of shoes. an Uber, or there's a CTO that is over in front of Ocho Cascadas, and oftentimes you can find a cab there, but it is steep and windy and cobblestone roads, everybody. So cabs and Ubers, they'll go there. They just don't like to go there in the rain. And in case you aren't familiar where Conchas Chinas in Vallarta is, it's south of the Romantic Zone. It's in the hills just beyond an area called Amapas. If you are in the Romantic Zone, you look up the condos in the hills from the Zona Romantica. That's the Amapas. You travel about 1 or 3 kilometers down the 200, and it's just around where the Lindamar is. If you know where La Playita is over there, it's a beautiful place in Conchas Chinas to grab a bite to eat over at La Playita, and we've been there several times since we moved in. Anyway, you head up that steep hill, and that is where Conchas Chinas is. We happen to be just below another resort. It actually happens to be pretty well known, called the Gran Miramar. And if you know where that is, that's kind of where we are. So a heck of a view. Anyway, I'm done bragging. Now, since we are living here right now and plan to be for some time, my plan is to do more videos. And also, I'll be more spontaneous and more up-to-date with maybe up-to-the-minute interviews as things occur around town. And, of course, since I'm a retired staff, I will be doing more episodes of the podcast. I'll try to get one out every week now that we're living here. And by the way, in the 40 years that we've been coming to Vallarta, I have never cooked a meal, ever, other than to maybe heat something up in a microwave, or as they say in Spanish, a microonda, a microwave. Now, I've actually prepared my first meal in paradise, and I'm getting warmed up here. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to restaurants here like as much as I possibly can, but I can't every day, right? So shopping is going to have to be my next experience. So stay tuned. I'll probably have some interesting stories to tell. And now that we've had a week to settle in, our plan is to, during the slow month of September, to look for a long-term rental or even a home to buy. And we'll keep you informed of how that goes. We're going to have a great time, amigos, I'm going to tell you. But now, hey, let's get to the interview, shall we? If you've been up the Rio Quale, up in Paso Ancho, where La Huerta Barbecue is and where the old El Rio Barbecue was, right there along the river, then you may have seen this little restaurant just up the street from there, right around the corner and up the street. It's a sweet little place called Irma's Bar and Grill. Now, Irma, she serves home-cooked comfort food, as well as having a full bar. And it's a cute little place inside. It's really sweet in there. Now, she has worked all around the Bay in the service industry, so she really knows how to make her customers happy. And she'll tell you where she's worked. We'll talk about that. So let's get to know her a little bit better, shall we? Let's go right now to a sweet little restaurant with a lot of charm and meet this charming lady, Irma Mejia, owner of Irma's Bar and Grill, Paisan 520, Paso Ancho, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Irma, thanks for coming on the show today.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Let me have you tell my listeners a little bit about yourself. Are you from Paso Ancho?
I'm born and raised in Paso Ancho in 1970. At the last day of the 70s, actually.
Really? She's very young. I love this. All right. So you grew up in Paso Ancho. Your family also from Paso Ancho?
No, my parents and my grandpas are from Michoacan, but they moved to Puerto Vallarta before my parents get married.
Ah.
So I born and raised in Paso Ancho.
Oh, you were? Wow. So you're a pata salada pura, aren't you?
Sí.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how it was that you started your restaurant.
I've been working in restaurants for 25 years, maybe longer now with my own place.
Yeah.
And I have a handicapped boy. My oldest son is autistic, He have epileptic problems, and nobody can look after him.
Yeah.
So I have to work very close to him to be looking after.
Interesting. Oh, wow. All right. And so you decided that the restaurant business was something that you could actually do that, right?
It's also because I miss my friends. I've been working in restaurants and bars, so I miss my friends, and that's the way where I can keep in touch with my friends, Canadian and people from U.S.
Uh-huh. Wow. Okay. So you have a place that's kind of out of the way, but you're really close to La Huerta Barbecue, which we know. But you've got this gorgeous restaurant. Tell us, maybe explain to people about your restaurant.
It's a very small place, but it's always very clean. The food is cooked with love. You can taste.
Yeah.
And we are very happy because we are doing pretty good. In the end of April, it's going to be 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's amazing how fast the times go.
It is amazing. Tell the people about your menu. What kind of food are you making here?
Our food is mainly Mexican and Canadian comfort food, but with good quality. Good quality on the ingredients and good quality when we cook.
Uh-huh. And so are you serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or
Lunch and dinner.
lunch and dinner? Okay. And are the menus similar for lunch and dinner?
Yeah, we have specials for dinner. Different every night.
Okay. So tell us what would a special be? Give us an example.
On Wednesdays, our special is prime rib with our good friend Roger Alaska.
Uh-huh.
I think he's with us for 2 years or longer. I don't remember. It's
Right.
hard to track.
We've had Roger on the show, and we've asked him about his prime rib, and he talked about Irma's. So, yeah, that's fantastic. So on Wednesday, he does the prime rib.
Yeah.
What other kind of specials do you have during the week?
Fish and chips, dressing and gravy, because my partner is from Newfoundland.
Yeah, there you have it.
Something for me, it's something weird, but the people like it.
Well, do you like it, even though it's weird? You can say it. You don't have to say it if you don't want to. It's okay. It's all right.
It's no, but it tastes good.
Oh, of course, it tastes good. You're making it, right?
Yeah. So it's
very nice. Any other specials that you can think of?
the chicken mole with my grandma recipe. No chocolate in my grandma. No chocolate at all.
Okay, all right. So but
it's really
spicy, kind of a mole,
Not as
or is it
spicy.
sweet, or
It's not as spicy, but it's mainly not salty, but tastes no sugar, no chocolate, no.
interesting? All right. Well, you got to have the mole, right? We got to try it.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. On your regular menu, what kind of things do you have on your regular menu?
We have BLT, homemade hamburgers, the beef dip, French dip. We sell a lot of those.
Oh, it sounds great.
We make really good barbecue ribs.
Oh,
We have shepherd's pie. My husband teach me how to make it. Now I have to cook all the time because he doesn't cook the shepherd's pie no more because my one is better.
and the people want it, so you got to cook it. Yeah. Oh, shepherd's pie is. Tell people what's in shepherd's pie. There's some people that really don't know what that is.
It's ground beef with some veggies, with gravy, and mashed potato, and with cheese or without cheese, with a green salad on the side.
Very good. Nice. Do you have any soups? Do you serve any soups here?
We have a lentil soup with bacon or without bacon, depend if you are vegan.
Yeah, if you're a vegan or you're okay with the meat,
Yeah,
right?
but with bacon, it's fantastic.
I bet.
We also have French onion soup, tortilla soup,
Oh, wow.
pozole.
And pozole.
Pozole.
You do have comfort food here, Irma. And a lot of soups. I didn't really realize your soup selection was that big,
We make the soups by the day,
depending on the day.
I want everything fresh, so that's why we make one day chicken soup. Like today, we have chicken soup. If we have a lentil soup, we put in the board there is just for the specials of the
Okay,
day.
so they've got a whiteboard on the wall, and they put the specials of the day on that whiteboard.
No regular menu.
Yeah, very good. Very
Yeah.
good. So you do barbecue, which is really great. We'll have to. We're going to have to try that and see how that is. You also have a bar. You got a full bar.
Yeah.
And
I'm a bartender.
Are you really?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk. Can we talk a little bit about where you used to work? Do you have any places that people would know that you might have worked?
I think in 1992 I started working in a restaurant, Chili Willy's. It's gone.
Oh,
where
it
now
is.
River Cafe. And then the same owner is the owner of Chico's Paradise. So then I went to work for many years in Chico's Paradise. No Name Cafe, Los Pibes in Marina. And my last job was in Gringo Loco for over 8 years.
Was it really? You were Gringo Loco, Irma? It's fantastic. Wow. All right. So you have, you know how to pour a drink. You've been in some of the great places all around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you have something like a special signature drink or anything like that?
My son liked to adventure with like margaritas with jalapeno and mezcal. He's the most adventure on.
He's the guy.
On weird drinks. I'm very traditional, like margaritas, mai tai, daiquiris. They old style, old fashioned
exactly.
cocktails.
The old fashioned way.
I'm old.
He likes, but he likes to infuse his with a little bit of something, right? That's interesting. Yeah. All right. So, what time what are your hours?
We open at noon, and if it's nobody around, we close at 8:00. If it's still people around, we close at 10. Our license is till midnight.
Okay.
But because we are between a lot of neighbors, we don't want to bother them.
You want to be cool. You want to be nice with your neighbors.
I'm trying to be as nice as I can.
I know you are, and it's important.
We close at 10 mostly.
Very good, very good. And so, if somebody was going to be coming up to Paso Ancho and visiting your area, what other places are up here that people can
It's
visit?
a very small place by the main street, like half a block from here. He make good shrimp burritos and wings and some aguachile.
Yeah, but I
different.
don't want to hear about another restaurant. I want to hear about
about
places, maybe some other places to visit while
places. Go and spend the day swimming in the river. It's a nice,
absolutely
nice spot to swim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, up the road they've got a big old. What do they got? Canopy River up there at the end of this road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good if you like to walk. It's safe and it's nice to walk.
It's a good walk, right?
Because it's a lot of trees by the river. Oh, it's a beautiful place. I'm in love with Paso Ancho. I born and raised here, and I like it. I love
gorgeous. It's gorgeous. They got butterflies. It's just amazing. And you're walking by the river when you're doing that walk. Up the road. So
you
it's
can
very
see
lovely.
macaws and parrots and many different kinds of birds every morning. So it's fantastic.
There you go. See, so you stop over at Irma's, you get yourself a little margarita, and then you kind of walk up the street a little bit, see what's going on around here, right?
Yeah.
Irma, let's leave Irma's for just a minute, restaurant. Well, let's go out into the town a little bit. If you were going to just get out of Paso Ancho for a day and take your son with you and go somewhere and spend the day somewhere and then come back the same day, what would you do? Where would you go?
San Sebastian, Mascota. I like those little villages.
Yeah.
And it's good to clear your mind a little bit.
Yeah, and those are great places. We've been with the show up to Mascota and to San Sebastian. Yeah. Do you have a favorite place when you go to San Sebastian that you like?
I only been in San Sebastian once. I love Mascota. It's one of my favorite places.
Tell us about Mascota. Do you have a favorite spot there?
It's a old town in the Sierra Madre. The weather is different there. The food is awesome.
The local cheeses, everything, the local chilies.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they do with their food there.
And they're growing a lot of vegetables there, and
Yeah.
you can buy fresh from.
Right from the farm, right from the
Yeah.
farmer.
So
It's beautiful
I
there.
like it.
And the Tempolo Inconcluso is amazing. Have you seen the
Oh,
unfinished
yeah.
temple? Huh?
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Been there for 500 years.
Yeah.
Something like
Time,
that.
long time. If you had a word of advice for someone that was coming to Puerto Vallarta for the first time, other than, hey, come to Irma's and have some great barbecue or have a great, comfort food, what would you tell them? What kind of word of advice would you give them?
I love south. I love the road going south. I've been working south so many years, so it's always nice to watch the ocean and the flowers on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Go to Miss Maloya, go to Botanical Garden. It's nice.
Yeah, so south. Get out and go south.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm with you on that. What if you're going to take 3 days? What would you do if you had 3 days off?
Ooh. Go to the beach, like a Maito or somewhere with not many tourists, just something more private.
Yeah. Do you have any words of like warning for somebody who is coming for a first time to Puerto Vallarta? Maybe a word of caution. Any?
Be careful late night. Don't get so drunk.
Right.
I just,
Be in control, right?
yeah, especially after 1 or 2 o'clock it's weird.
It gets sketchy.
Yeah, so
because
look after yourself.
Yeah, we're not making really good choices about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning usually. Let's come back to Irma's. Irma, you have a Facebook page, yes?
Yes.
And do you do Instagram too, or just
No.
Facebook?
Just Facebook.
Okay.
My son is going to be in charge of the social media because
Okay. Well, I met Jared.
I'm not good in
I met
that.
your son last night. Very nice man. Congratulations.
Gracias.
I appreciate a nice man like that. All right, so you'll be able to find that. I'll have links to Irma's website. Well, her Facebook page. It'll be in the show notes. I'm sure you're probably maybe even on TripAdvisor. Or
Yeah,
they probably have
but
some reviews and stuff like that. But
some friends put on TripAdvisor,
Yeah.
put our
put nice things about you.
recommendation. Yeah. Only
all-
good, nice.
that's all
Only
we
good
want.
things.
Irma, is there anything I missed? Is there something that we forgot to talk about before we say goodbye today?
My concept is make them feel welcome, make them feel comfortable, like they are in home. And I think I'm doing good because even first time when the people, new people come, say, "Oh my God, this is nice. This is so comfortable." So I think I'm doing well in that point.
Irma, it's a big surprise. It's a beautiful restaurant. You've got a lovely staff, and it's just so nice to meet you. And I want to thank you so much for allowing me to introduce you to my audience. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Irma. Thank you so much. I have pictures. I have all those things, got links to her Facebook business page. I got the number to the restaurant, and I got a map that'll take you right to the front door of Irma's Bar and Grill in Paso Ancho, up the river in Puerto Vallarta. All right, well, next up, we are going to get a little bit of Vallarta history. We're just going to have a little bit of fun here. We're going to be meeting a very interesting man. His name is Otto Andriadis. And Otto goes way back, like 40 plus years back, when the town was smaller. And Americans, Canadians were just starting to get their toes wet and starting their own businesses and integrating with the locals. Otto is here to talk about that and more, including his son Alex's boutique hotels on the Rio Quale. They're the Rivera del Rio and the Hotel Garlands del Rio. These are both beautiful properties right on the Rio Quale. So let's go to the beach. Let's go to Swell Beach Club, where Debbie and I sat down for a sipping of adult beverage. And we'll talk a little bit about the Puerto Vallarta of old. Some of the characters who came to give it some character and pizzazz. Let's meet my friend, Otto Andriadis, who will tell us, among other things, of the legendary lady Silver, his mother-in-law, her husband Smokey, and the Quinta Marie Cortez in Conchas Chinas, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Otto, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, I'm very, very happy to be on your show.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I was born in Michigan, of all places, Detroit, and never really lived there. Traveled all over the world, did a lot of that. We were basically nomadic, corporate nomads. My family was.
Uh-huh.
And my father, in 1968, opened up an office in Mexico City. So I ended up coming down here as a teenager and fell in love with Mexico. And they left after his job was done down here. But I decided to stay and was in and out of Mexico for many, many, many years because I fell in love with the place. It got into my blood.
Yeah, it does. It just gets there. For sure.
It certainly does. It's like a magic. It's something that just happens and you have no control over it.
Yeah, it's for sure.
And so through the years, I had come to Puerto Vallarta. Probably the first time I came here was in 1971 as a collegiate. I mean, as a guy in university, as a tourist, an adventurer.
Yeah.
And fell in love with the place, but left. I had other things to do, and then around 1981, after having lived all over Mexico, knowing more of Mexico than a lot of Mexicans actually know of their own country, I decided that Puerto Vallarta was my favorite place in all of Mexico.
Yeah.
And so
I wonder why.
Yeah, we all wonder why people come and they keep returning, or they come and they never leave.
Yeah.
I have friends that have been down here since the 70s and have never left.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
It is incredible, actually.
Yeah, expats. You fall in love with this place, and it will never leave you. It's a love affair that stays with you forever.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Until our deaths, probably.
Yeah.
But I moved here in 1981 to live here permanently for a short period of time, a few years. Because I wanted my son to be born down here, number one, and because I love Mexico so much, it was an opportunity to come back to the country. And I got married to my girlfriend at that time. She became my wife and then gave birth to my son a few months later, probably about 4 or 5 months later.
Uh-huh.
And
so that made him a Mexican citizen?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the precepts that I had.
Yeah, you just mentioned that. Yeah, you wanted him to be born here, right?
Yes. Yeah, most definitely, because we had, at that time, some properties. My then wife had properties down here with her mother-in-law.
Okay.
Who had come down during the Richard and Elizabeth Taylor days.
Okay.
Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor days. And during those years, the laws were different, where you had to have a Mexican partner if you had a business going. And these were hotel properties that the mother-in-law owned. Uh-huh. So she would have to have had a 51% ownership. The Mexican partner would have to have had a minimum of 51% ownership, and she would have to have a maximum of 49% ownership.
Interesting.
So it was a good reason to have a Mexican in the family.
Right.
Coming down here, having the kid born, I had a restaurant down here that we were putting together, a couple of partners and myself. And so I also needed an avenue to put the restaurant in his name as well, having a Mexican national. Immediately being born down here, you are Mexican. There's no give or take about it. It's not like, well, let's put it this way. He was my anchor baby.
There you go. That's right. So what was the name of your restaurant?
It was called Il Manantial, which actually means the well. Uh-huh. It was a well of good food. It was healthy food. Actually, the restaurant, what we did was we stole a chef from from Spago's. And
You did?
Yes, we did.
It wasn't too hard to get a guy from L.A. to come down here, was it?
Absolutely not. I mean, he was ready to run away from Wolfgang Puck like there was no tomorrow. I mean, he was a secondary chef, but of course, when you offer somebody like that an opportunity to come down to Puerto Vallarta,
Yeah, forget
Mexico,
it. Yeah.
I mean, with all of its allure and the images that it creates, people come running.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was very good. We had excellent food there. The restaurant was not a success, I will say that.
All right. How long did it last?
Oh, it probably went on for there were three partners. One came up with the idea. The other two, myself and a friend of mine up in Los Angeles, we had other businesses going on up there. So, I mean, one of the partners never even walked into the restaurant.
Yeah.
The guy my other partner that was down here with me, he probably was in it the most, and that might have meant he was in there maybe 3 times, and I was in there 1 time.
Yeah, got it.
So it was like we thought we could run a restaurant without any.
Yeah. In other words, no. You didn't know how to run a restaurant.
We absolutely had no idea of how to run a restaurant. We got the F all the way through the report card, and everybody was laughing at us too at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So, but you have these other properties that are here too, right? So
Yes, that's exactly that. The other properties basically were from my wife's side of the family. My mother-in-law, God bless her. I bet she's rolling in her grave right now. Me getting interviewed by Barry, but anyway, she came down here back in the '60s. The early '60s, when this was just a little fishing town, a little idle town of cobblestone streets, and beautiful white beaches with the blue ocean, the blue bay, and she fell in love with the place. She came down with her husband, Smokey. Her name was Silver. Cortez. Okay, excuse me. I have to get this straight because these are really crazy names.
But and not only that, but I mean, Silver is. I mean, that's a historical name here in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, Silver was a celebrity here.
Right.
She was even more better known than actually Elizabeth Taylor and
Right.
Richard Burton.
Yeah.
I mean, half the.
So now, why is that? I mean, what was it about Silver? What was it that? Silver was your mother-in-law, right?
She was my mother-in-law. Yes.
Yeah. So what was it? What was about her?
The thing about her was that she had a presence. She was she was not your normal average American housewife. Her husband was part of the New York life insurance industry, and he was a part of the millionaire. I think they called it the millionaires circle. He was very, very, very well. He operated very, very, very well and made a lot of money in that industry. But he came down here. They both came down here at about the age of 40, and Silver had this presence that it's hard to explain. She was a beautiful woman. She looked like a movie star, and half the town thought she was a movie star. She did have ties to Hollywood. She knew how to. She didn't know how to attract people, but people just gravitated towards her because she had that type of presence and bearing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what she did was she fell in love with Puerto Vallarta, and she asked Smokey. That was her husband. It was Silver Maria Cortez High Killen. That was her full, complete married name.
Wow.
And her husband's name was Smokey High Cortez Killen. These were two of the most incredibly different people, corporate type people, but still different, quite different that you will ever meet.
Well, yeah.
You'll ever meet. I mean, Smokey has his own legacy. But Silver came down here and she fell in love with Puerto Vallarta and asked Smokey to buy her a little piece of property on the beach, right on the beach in Conchas Chinas, as we know it today. It was a perfect spot to put up a house, a residential house, whatever she was thinking. It had beautiful big rocks and some calm waters right there. But what she decided to do is she built slowly, starting in the 60s. Oh, I must add this. She actually gave Smokey the goodbye, adios, I'll see you another day, another year, another time in time and space. Because Smokey had to go back to the United States to to work. He was a corporate man.
Yeah.
And she was not going to leave Puerto Vallarta.
Wow. Why would she want to leave?
Exactly. There was no reason
So,
for her
wow.
to.
So, I mean, did they remain married or was it just done deal?
Well, the deal was that they remained married until the death of Smokey and her. Basically, they never divorced.
Interesting.
They separated, but he would come down just about every year and raise his Texas hell in this town. If you know what a Texas hell is, he was a really nice guy, a very very great man, but he was a real character. And they never maintained a real married type of relationship ever again after that point.
Yeah. Because he had to go back to work.
He had to go back to work, and then she was not going to go back to the United States. She was going to pursue her dream, and that was to basically, nobody knew it at the time, but her dream was to put a little type of boutique hotel before we even knew what boutique hotels were.
Right.
She was going to put a boutique hotel down here in Puerto Vallarta on the beach.
On the beach.
On the beach.
Did it end up on the beach?
It was right on the beach.
It was. What was the name of it?
It was called Quinta Maria Cortez. It's a very, very well-known name down here in the history of Puerto Vallarta, as was she.
So Silver was Mexican?
No. Silver was actually from Texas, born and raised in the United States.
Okay. So how is it that she was able to do the deal as far as land ownership goes?
Well, that's the interesting thing. As she started as the construction of the place as a residence, so she had a little bit of leeway there. It was not going to be considered a business where you had the 41 or the 51% ownership.
Right.
So as building a residence here, there were still laws at that time where strategic, they were military laws, strategic laws for the country of Mexico where a foreigner could not own land within 50 kilometers from the beach inland. And what they did was they allowed foreigners to come down here, buy properties, but through bank trusts,
Yes.
30-year bank trusts.
The fideicomisos.
Yes, exactly,
Yes.
exactly. So that's what she did. The laws have eventually changed where anybody can come down here now and do whatever they basically want, business-wise or residentially.
It seems that way now, doesn't it? Well, except for you have to show you. We're in the middle of our residency thing, so we know we have to show some money. We can't just do whatever we want.
Oh, no, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about permanent residency down here, then it's a little bit different. But if you're talking about just coming down here and getting involved in anything, you can basically, like I said before, do just about anything, but you would then have to be going back to the United States frequently to renew your...
Every 6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no,
they've even changed those visa laws now.
Yeah, only 180 days is basically what they allow. So
Is that it?
Yeah, that's the new thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's go back. So Silver opened up the hotel.
Yes.
And then what happened then?
Well, it was a long process of construction because I didn't meet Silver until 1983.
Okay.
That's actually the year I moved down here. If I said 81 before, I was wrong. I met Candy, my wife, in 81 in San Francisco, and then eventually moved down here when she got pregnant with Alex in 83. That's when I met Silver. So by the time I came down here, she had a property that was incredible. I mean, it was so artfully done. It was actually presented in the Architectural Digest because it was that
good.
Yeah, it was that nice. It was beautiful. And it was she had built through the years from the 60s through the 80s. The property there was a road above the beach, so the property went about 3 stories. It actually went 4 stories from the road straight up, and then it was cantilevered from the road 4 stories down to the beach.
Wow.
And every floor, there were 8 floors. Every floor was basically its own suite. And they were done in such an eclectic style. I mean, it's hard to describe because she had hidden doors, hidden bathrooms, hidden walkways. And every suite was different. But it wasn't anything that you could really put a finger on. It was this is the best way that I can say this is that every part of that hotel was a piece of art.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was actually a creation, her creation. It was her artistic creation. That was her life's goal.
How long was that hotel in business?
It was in business until probably. It was in business. I think she sold it. When I divorced out of the family, she sold it in. I think it was 2000, and she basically gave it away.
Really?
Yes, she gave it away. Unfortunately,
What happened with her?
That's a long story. The story. You can tell I've lived in other places in the world when I use that word story. But what happened was, her daughter was a beautiful, beautiful lady. I mean, just gorgeous. But she was eccentric, to say the least. To be brutally honest, she was very much into herself. She was a gorgeous woman, but very much into herself, and we weren't really getting along. When I divorced out of the family, Silver at that time had the property on the beach, but she was also building another property on the river. One was going to be given to her son, Kyle, who was in the rock and roll industry. He recorded with people like Frank Zappa and other notable musicians. And the daughter and myself. And she was very happy. She was very pleased with me when I married into the family, because she thought that I brought maybe some business acumen with me.
Right.
But when I divorced, she really didn't take it quite well. She did not like me after that. And I was persona non grata in any of her properties. And then she proceeded to sell the house on the beach because there was no longer a reason for her to have it, to give it to her daughter and to myself. And she decided that she would start living on the river and start another property, another piece of art on the river. Nice. On the river, that's the Rio Quale that I'm talking about. It's a river that cuts Vallarta, the old town Vallarta, basically, the original Puerto Vallarta in half.
Right, right. So that now that is hotel is still there.
The hotel, the Quinta Maria Cortez is still there. It's in Conchas Chinas, which I would say would be the Beverly Hills. If you want to use that as an analogy, it would be the Beverly Hills of the Puerto Vallarta area. But there are many beautiful villas there in Conchas Chinas. Silver was one of the first, but hers was never a villa like you would see them today or yesterday or in the future. It was not. I mean, there's beautiful, beautiful homes here, but Silver's was, as I said before, she was an artist, a creator. She searched the world. She went around the world trying to find different ideas and different things and how to put together her property. So it stood out. It was like there was something about it where it just did not fit into the normal style and everything. It was apart from an Italian villa or a Greek villa or a French Riviera villa. It was the Mexican Riviera like we have it here. It was completely, completely different. It really stood out.
So is the property still the same, or has it been revamped?
Well, the property, she sold it for nothing, for pennies. It was I guess I can say this. So she sold it for $500,000, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing for a beach property in Puerto Vallarta today. And unfortunately, the people that bought it, they bought the villa, the mansion next door, and they started to operate a boutique-style hotel like she was operating.
Yeah.
But what happened is that they basically let it go through the years. It's still a beautiful property, but it's you can imagine what would happen if you built something in 1960 and it's still standing.
Right.
It has some wear and tear on it, especially with the salt in the air and the ocean right there in front of you. So my son right now, he considers that place his place of birth. That's where he was born. That's where he grew up. And he was this happened when he was a baby. The property was sold when he was a baby, but he's now grown up. He's now a hotel man. He's got properties, boutique hotels, and he wants that property back. That's his property.
Oh, that's very cool. All right. Now, this is neat. All right, can we talk a little bit about Alex and the properties that he has?
Of course, yes.
Okay,
yes.
So he's got two boutique hotels on the Rio Quale.
That's right. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about those.
Well, it's a great story. He gets he gets, excuse my language, he gets pissed off every time I tell this story to his friends especially. And then he'll come and scream at me and berate me. But originally I decided that we needed him to be born down here because we needed a Mexican in the family for real estate laws and military laws, strategic laws. And so what happened was that he was going to always be the heir to what Silver had created.
Uh-huh.
But he lost the property on the beach. But she had started another property on the Rio Qualit. And when he was about, I think he was still at the, he was still studying university. He had not taken his degree. He was in San Francisco State. He called me one day, and he told me that Silver had gotten quite. I don't know how to say this. Well, it's easy to say. She was starting to show signs of dementia or Alzheimer's, and she was starting to give away her fortune. Mm. And so he asked me, what should he do? I told him, listen, Alex, you're the heir to that. That's your inheritance. That's going to be your future legacy, or the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So he said, but I'm still studying. I can't go down there. I said, well, you're going to have to go down there, because if you don't go down there, you're going to your mother-in-law is going to give it all away. You're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So he reluctantly came down here at a very young age and proceeded to go about getting monies back and properties back that she had basically just was giving away to younger people that were taking advantage of her. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was very impressed with him at that point. I consulted him every night, but very impressed. I mean, he was very young when he inherited quite a bit of capital and property. Uh-huh, yeah. And so he eventually took it over. His mother-in-law was incapacitated. She died. And he took over the property on the beach, and he just followed through. It's incredible because he took I wouldn't say this. I know this for a fact. He spent a lot of the money that he inherited on taking over that property on the Rio Qualit and building it up, renovating it, keeping Silver's vision, but putting his vision into it as well. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, that's fine and dandy, Alex, but what are you going to do when it comes time to running a business? Do you have that acumen in you? In the meantime, he also got his degree, but he did that online. So he's a very enterprising kid. He's driven. As it turned out, he sank a lot of money. I told him to do it by stages, but he said, no, I'm doing it all at once, which he did. And then he finished the project. It was beautiful, incredible. But now it came time to running it, to marketing it. Yeah. And I knew, I was good in marketing in my day, but in my day, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the basically real life and, information transferring in a nanosecond. Well, he knew all about that, being of that generation. So he was able to use the internet, and he got outside help. He consulted friends and other business people, and he turned it into the business that it is today. I mean, almost immediately, he was fully occupied. Yeah. He had full occupancy there.
The hotel is beautiful.
It's a gorgeous hotel, and that we also had lived in that house as well for a period.
Yeah. And that must have been pretty cool, living there on the river like that.
It was always cool. It was, it was like you were in a different world in those houses. I mean, the houses that Silver built, it was a different world, and you knew that you were different by just living there and being there. Yeah. It was almost like instant celebrity in this town because of Silver's. She was actually very famous here. She was the people loved her. Half the people actually loved her. The other thought she was a movie star because she was involved with a lot of Hollywood and the family. And then the other half thought that she was a bruja because a witch, yes, because they couldn't understand her vision and her style and her taste in architecture and everything, and in her appearance.
Yeah. I mean, that's very interesting.
Wow, she was an interesting woman.
What great history that is. It's amazing.
Oh, it is. It is. For Puerto Vallarta, she's probably more well known by the locals than Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
Yeah. Well, I know of her, just by, being here all these years and have heard stories, So there's legend there, right?
There's definitely legend there.
Yeah.
And Alex took that over. And I thought he was going to flop. I thought the money was going to be, first I thought he was going to blow through the money and forget about doing anything with it.
Right.
But he took the money.
He was young, right? You know, I mean,
very young.
He had every opportunity to do just that.
Exactly. And you know what? I wasn't young, and if I was still married in the family, I would have taken the money and blown it.
You'd have done it, right? Wow.
Well,
All right, so I'll have links.
joking.
I'll have links and I'll have pictures of now. One is the Riviera del Rio. The other one is Garlands del Rio. Yes.
Yes, he has two properties. What he did was he took the Riviera del Rio, he refurbished that. He put his own vision into it, keeping Silver's vision intact, and then he expanded. He started to expand. There was a couple of guys from Texas that had opened up a restaurant, a very famous restaurant down here in the 80s, El Bistro. Mm-hmm. They were now older, my age, and they were retired. And they had two mansions built right across the El Bistro. Their restaurant was on the Rio Quale River, on the Rio Quale Island.
Yeah.
And they were right across the river from that. They built two beautiful, beautiful mansions. These were their private homes, one next to the other.
Yeah, nice.
And so Alex on his own just got to know these guys. I don't know how. I guess it was maybe, Silver was a common talking point. I have no idea. But he got into a conversation with them, and then one thing led to another. And he took over those properties on a 5-year lease, where he would manage the properties, he actually added rooms onto the actual homes, the mansions, and then broke it down and turned each section of the mansion into specific suites, rooms, things that could be rented out in terms of a boutique hotel.
Yeah.
And he eventually, after the 5-year contract ran out, he bought both places. And now it's known as Garlands del Rio. Today, I talked to one of the guests at Rivera who has been to both hotels 3 or 4 times. She's from a big agency, an interior decoration agency. I mean, this is a very common thing. When I'm walking the properties, or I go over there to eat, or I just show up, if people find out that I'm the father of the owner, the first thing they want to do is, no, where's your son? We want to talk to him. We want to meet him. Yeah. And he doesn't like that. He's always telling me, listen, be a plumber, be a gardener, be anything you want, but don't be my son at those hotels. You're not a relative of mine. I don't want to get involved in all of that. He likes to keep his anonymity together.
Yeah, well, I know he does, and I'm after him. I'm going to get him one of these days on the show. When you come here and you obviously you spend some time with your son, you spend some time with friends, you got any favorite restaurants? Yeah, we're sitting at Swell Beach Bar. I mean, is this one of your favorite little beach bars?
For me, yes. I mean, I like Playa Los Muertos a lot. It's Puerto Vallarta's main beach. Yeah. It's been here forever. The beach of the dead. And the story behind that is that probably a lot of people know is that there was a massacre here during the Conquistador days. 40 people were killed here, I think, bringing gold down from the mountains. I'm not too sure if it's 100% correct, but something like that. So it's called Playa Los Muertos, and I love this little beach. It's got a mix of people from national, Americans, Europeans, Canadians. I mean, everybody. It's a mishmash of people, and that's why I like it so much. Yeah. I mean, there are other beautiful beaches up and down the coast, but this is basically my favorite place to be because it's walking distance to where we live when I'm down here, and to the hotels, my son's hotels. And it's always been kind of my favorite place to be here. And there's one place that I've been coming to. My son turned me on to it. I didn't know that one of our old friends had owned it at the time, but it's called Swell. So I tend to come to this specific place. It's very small, very very nice. They've got their seats and the umbrellas on the beach. You can hear the waves crashing, and it's just very, very nice. And it's not fancy. It's just laid back, and you can do whatever you want. I mean, if I want to sit upside down in my chair, they don't care.
They don't care. And they're very nice. The waiters here are excellent. And if you want to know where Swell is like right next door to El Dorado. So we talk about El Dorado every week here on the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show.
Oh, that's another famous place.
Well,
I
yeah.
loved El Dorado.
Yeah, well,
I still do.
Remember when Memo had El Dorado?
Oh, Memo Wolf, gosh,
Yeah.
what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy. I loved Memo.
Well, he's got a beautiful restaurant over in Versailles, over at Barrio Bistro, of course, and La La Lu. I don't know if you've been over to his new restaurants over there, but good food, great.
That's
stuff.
the son now. That's the son is
Oh yeah,
operating his
we're
restaurants.
talking about the other Memo.
Yeah, Memo
You knew the
has his
original
restaurants
Memo.
with God right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
unfortunately.
yeah,
or Ben maybe better.
Well, maybe. Yeah, you
He's in
never
Puerto
know.
Vallarta in the skies.
Exactly right. Exactly.
But what a
right.
great guy he was. The whole Wolf family were wonderful. His father was one of the prominent. The Wolf family are prominent people here.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most prominent families. The father started with John Huston. He built the set to Night of the Iguana.
Right.
And that's how he made his start. And then from there, he built houses and restaurants all over the place in this town.
Yeah, absolutely. Good guy. Good family. And unfortunately, I saw that Nellie Wolf just passed away. She was almost 100 years old. Yes.
99 years old.
99 years young. You
Yeah,
were you at the service?
Yes, it was a beautiful service. It was in the cathedral right downtown off the Zocalo. Yeah, actually, the same cathedral that I got married in.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that must have been what an experience that was. So you got married in right there at the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe.
That is right, and I'm glad you said it, not me.
Well, it's a good thing that I haven't had anything to drink just yet. We're working on it.
Well, you might be maybe getting there, but I'm there.
Look, if you had a place, I know that you love Playa Los Muertos, but if you had a place that was that you would call the most beautiful spot in Puerto Vallarta, where would that be?
You know, that's a hard call because everywhere you go in Puerto Vallarta is beautiful. I mean, you can't say one place is more beautiful than the other because they're all beautiful.
Oh, you're a politician too. All right.
I'm a politician, but I'm also a realist, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
Conchas Chinas was always my favorite because I lived there, and that's a small enclave of very beautiful villas, homes, the old boutique hotel, and some other properties. And it's a wonderful beach because it's a small beach and it's not easily accessible, so there's not a lot of people there. So I love Conchas Chinas Beach. I love Las Jimelas, which is further down the coast. And then, of course, there's also the beaches up north, which are incredible. But there's also Yulapa, which is accessible only by boat, and that's also an incredible place. I love Yulapa. It's a great place.
I think you love beaches.
Beaches? What's a beach? That's the only place I've ever known.
Yeah.
Beaches, and more beaches.
More beaches.
That's my whole life has been lived on a beach, basically.
That's fantastic. That's what I love to hear. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would that advice be?
My advice to a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta would depend on where they're coming from. If they were coming from the United States, I would tell them not to listen to the American press about Mexico. The press has built up Mexico as a place of danger and of violence, and this is not true in Puerto Vallarta.
That's for sure.
Come down here, be relaxed as you want to be, because nothing is going to happen to you. That's my first piece of advice. Don't listen to the press. It's all bullshit. Excuse my language if you don't know what shit is.
Yeah. How about a word of warning? You got any words of warning for somebody?
You know,
coming down here?
I really don't. I've lived in and out of Mexico since 1968, and I have never really had any major problems down here. Now, I know other people have, and I think my only word of warning would be if you drive on the highways going to another town, which you probably won't do because you'll want to stay in Puerto Vallarta, take a few extra pesos with you if you get pulled over so you can bribe the guy that wants to give you the ticket.
Right.
That's
Make it
about
easy. Make it easy on yourself, right?
Yeah, make it easy on yourself. Yeah, now, Barry, that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
If you got into a situation like that with the law, which you're not going to do,
Right.
don't fight it. Just give them a little bit of money and that's it. I mean, this is a country that it's not rigidly structured where you have to take a ticket or if you spit on the sidewalk or you jaywalk, and somebody says that you broke the law, well, you didn't really break the law. You're not going to get into trouble if you give them a few hundred pesos, whatever. Whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. If you're asking me what I would warn people about coming down here, I would say I have no warnings for them. I really don't, because I've never had a problem here, and I've always come down here relaxed and I've never really seen anything really bad happen like I've read about in the press. I don't, the exchange rates. Okay, the exchange rates. I can tell you that you might lose a few pesos when you come into the country, and if you're using dollars, they'll change them in the stores at 50. I think the rate is now about 18. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you might lose a few pesos if you come in with dollars. You go to the stores, they'll cash your dollars at 15 pesos. The bank will cash them at 17 or 18. So you can, if you want to be aware of that, be aware of that.
Yeah.
Talking about the warning question, I was thinking about it, and my thoughts are basically this. Even though I'm kind of the type of person that doesn't warn anybody about anything, even if a locomotive is going to run you over, it's all right. I'll tell you this. Don't overdo it ever. Be safe, be good. Don't drink so much where you're not going to know what you're doing, where you're going. Be like anything you would do wherever you live, wherever you're coming from. Be cautious. I mean, with the people that you meet. If you're drunk, the Mexican people are so friendly. It's amazing. But you should always be cautious if you're too drunk, or if you meet somebody that you don't feel good about. Little things like that.
Yeah, be aware, right? Have a little bit of awareness about what's going on around you.
Have a little bit of awareness is a good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right. Well, let's get back to Puerto Vallarta. First of all, I'm going to make sure that we have links to Alex's hotels over in the show notes. You'll find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And Alex, if you're listening, Alex, I'm after you. I'm coming after you. We're going to talk about your hotels together. Otto, is there anything that I forgot? Is there something that I missed that you maybe wanted to add before we said goodbye today?
Well, I just wanted to throw in that Alex is in the process right now, as we sit here. He's put together already the monies to rebuy Quinta Maria Cortez. So he's going to have 3 properties shortly.
Nice.
And that's what we're planning on. That's what we're praying for. We're just waiting for a counter offer. And I should not say we. I should say he is.
Yeah, fantastic.
But that's his private business.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll once that happens, maybe I can get him back on the show.
You'll get him on the show.
Oh, I know I will. And he said yes, by the way. He has said yes before. It's just that he's hard to track down. He's a busy dude.
Well, he's a very busy guy, and he loves to travel the world, and that's basically what he's doing most of the time. He's got a really good crew of people working for him, so he travels the world constantly.
And
he's been to every country you can imagine. I've been around the world probably 11, 12 times myself, and he's probably been around it 30 or 40 times. He's outdone me in everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you follow Alex, you'll know. He's all over the place.
Yes, he is.
You blink, and he's on the other side of the world.
But I do want to add this, Barry. If you've never been to Puerto Vallarta, you have to come down here. And I'm not here saying that as a salesperson. I'm not trying to market the place, because I could care less about things of that nature. I'd rather have less people here than more people. But it is a beautiful, beautiful place.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I have to thank you so much for coming on the show, for making the time to, taking time out of your very busy day. I know you're a busy guy.
I am so busy, Barry. You do not know how busy I am. I wake up in the morning and I scratch my head.
Yes,
Not the other thing. And then I wonder, should I brush my teeth first? Should I shower? Should I read the newspaper? Oh, I don't know what a newspaper is. Or what should I do today? And you know what the thing is that I'm so busy going to the beach, I don't have time for this, so we better cut this pretty short here, Barry.
I love you, Otto. Thanks very much, buddy. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for allowing me to introduce you and your history and your story, to my audience. I really, really, truly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, Barry. My story is, I have a story here, but my story is in Mexico most of my life. It's my love, it's in my blood, and I consider myself almost a Mexican, but they don't. But I do. I love this country. So
I do
thank
too.
you very much, Barry. I appreciate the chance to be interviewed by you. You're a great guy. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much, Otto. What a story, my friend. I have some great photos of the characters that he spoke about in the show notes, as well as links to his son Alex's 2 boutique hotels right along the Rio Quale. They are the Garland del Rio and the Rivera del Rio. I've got those in the show notes. And we'll keep you posted on the possibility of that acquisition by Alex of the Hotel Quinta Marie Cortez. Well, how cool would that be over in Conchas Chinas, just below me? All right, well, that should do it for this week. Stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, hey, go to vallartainfo.com. Go to JR's website. Reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you, JR. Thanks for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about your tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours, and I have links to all of those in the show notes. Now, once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and follow and share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta. Or give me a good review or however you happen to be listening. That way we can get the word out to more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really have to go and have a look there. I have the links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting pictures and more right there in my blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So I work on it really hard. Check them out if you haven't already. All right. Hey, thank you, Irma Mejia from Irma's Bar and Grill in Paso Ancho. Have some of that home-cooked comfort food and refreshing drinks from her bar. Listen, go look at some pictures, go to her website, go to her Facebook page. I have maps and links in the show notes. And thank you, Otto Andriadis, for sharing your story. Some of Vallarta's most interesting historical figures. You're a good man, Otto. I really enjoy your company too, buddy. Thanks to all of you for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Oh, oh, oh. Solo camino, perno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. allá.